Earth, c. 10,800 BCE. I leaned against the railing of the balcony, staring up at the thick dome of ice covering the city. The unnatural, frozen barrier concealed the Alpha site, blocking us from the full glory of the Atlantean sun. Closing my eyes, I basked in the weakened UV rays filtering through the ice, imagining the warmth I hadn't felt for 5 long cycles, nearly 300 solar years. Up here, at the top of the central tower, the highest point in the city, I could almost trick my mind into thinking the imagined warmth was real. This was my favorite place to be, so close to the outside world, though I'd hardly had a chance to grow accustomed to the heat of this yellow sun during my infrequent trips to the surface guarding research expeditions. It was the only sun I'd ever known, and I missed it, desperately. Or maybe it was freedom that I missed. Purpose. After 5 regeneration cycles, trapped in this frozen cage, 5 peaceful, boring cycles, when I could have been out on the surface, exploring Atlantis, I was listless and weary. I was over it. This place, my people, our mission. Disillusioned was an understatement. I was over all of it. A hand curled around the back of my arm, and my eyes snapped open, training turned instinct driving my reaction. Not even 5 cycles of peace and inaction could tame the hard-earned instinct to fight from my body, even if this iteration of my body had never actually seen any real action. With my free arm, I reached over my shoulder to draw my doru from the holster on my back, already anticipating the hum of energy that would radiate up my arm the instant my fingers made contact with the carved length of polished, golden orichalcum. Fingers clasped onto my wrist, holding my hand in a steely grip. My fingertips stalled a hair's breadth from the staff weapon. "Why so on edge?" a man asked, the sound of his voice sending a not unpleasant shiver cascading down my body. Hades. He was the one person who should never, ever touch me. Because of our feelings for one another, it was reckless. Because of my position, it was beyond forbidden. I narrowed my eyes, pressing my lips together. "You should know better," I said, ducking under my arm as I twisted around to face Hades. Standing so close to him, I had to raise my gaze to meet his icy blue eyes. Hades looked as he always did, poised and polished, not a flaw on his pristine white suit, and not a hair out of place. Up this high, the ice dome's faint blue hue gave his blonde hair a slightly silver tint. My gaze lingered on his face for a moment, tracing the strong lines I'd yearned to touch for what felt like eons, before dropping to my wrist, to his long, graceful fingers, to the place where he was touching me. My brain finally registered the danger. "What are you thinking?" I hissed, shooting furtive glances to either side as I yanked my wrist free from his grasp. Thankfully, the balcony was as empty as it had been when I'd first come up here. Well, almost as empty. Anger boiled within me as my focus returned to Hades, to his hand, hovering between us. I knew exactly what he'd been thinking. That initial touch hadn't been a momentary lapse in judgment. It had been deliberate. He was trying to force my hand, trying to make me decide before I was ready. My eyes locked with his, the fond familiarity in his blue gaze, unable to soothe my irritation. Giving up everything, even for a lifetime on the surface with him, under the glorious sun, wasn't an easy choice. Excommunication was serious. It was a life sentence, and in time, a death sentence. If we abandoned the Alpha site, this cycle would be our last. The threat of mortality always hovered in the shadows, taunting my people. For us, it would become real.